That time of the week on The Informer, time to catch up with Wayne Flower, the man from the Daily Mail. How are you, my boy?
Very good, George, thanks.
You're not in your normal COVID-19 investigation gear. You look like you've been to the courts again.
Yes, George, I managed to avoid COVID for a brief moment and back reporting on crime and misery of a different sort in the courts.
I just want to remind you, we are in lockdown again, stage 4 in Victoria. And to see you out and about in a suit, just fills me with confidence that one day soon we will all be let out again to behave as we have behaved for years and years and years.
Yeah, we certainly hope to, and obviously a lot of Victorians are banking on that come September 13.
Now, there are also some others, though, who are doing some other things behind the scenes that only you've just discovered or come upon. What's that? What information is this?
Well, that's right, George. I mean, look, it's probably well known to a lot of Victorians, but it's only sort of come across my desk today that there's sort of an underground movement going on amongst the many disgruntled Victorians fed up with the lockdown, who are organising in the background through social media, through like WhatsApp and Signal and these sorts of devices, planning a bit of a rally of, it should be of a significant number of people on the date that the lockdown is supposed to expire.
Are you suggesting that, unlike in the past where they've announced that there's going to be a rally, in order to get as many people in as possible, they've decided, this particular group that's planning this time around is saying, no, hush, 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 use all the encryption devices and tools that we have, social media for example, and we'll meet when we want to, in our own time, again, against the advice of everybody at the moment who keeps reminding us that we're in lockdown and we need to stay apart, stay at home.
Correct. I mean,
wow.
We saw what happened last time, an anti-mask protest at the War Memorial there, and I went down there at the time and there was a ginormous police presence.
What were the numbers like of those who decided to turn up for the rally?
Well, there was about a dozen, I think, turned up to the first one at dawn, and they were greeted by...
So they were seriously outnumbered?
Oh, yeah, it was a massive show of force by the police, there with batons, horses...
But you're suggesting it's going to be the other way around this time?
Well, yeah, this time it seems that, they don't want to give a heads up to the police. They want to turn up at a location which is yet to be
So this is again
identified.
thumbing their nose at the government?
I guess they hope that there might be some sort of relaxation of the lockdown laws by that date on September 13th.
You're not saying it's going to happen the next week or so?
No, it's scheduled, my understanding is, for that date, September 13. I assume they would turn up at somewhere like the steps of Parliament en masse and could get pretty rowdy, particularly if the news is bad, which... We really don't know, but it's likely that restrictions of some sort will continue.
What's the morale like of the people that you've been crossing and meeting in the streets, doing all of your reports for the Daily Mail? Yeah,
well, look, it's funny, the people who are most vocal about it generally are the people who are pro Daniel Andrews. I mean, anyone who arcs up, and you would know this, George, because you've had some strong opinions yourself.
That's fair enough. It's the nature of the beast.
The supporters of the Premier are very vocal, and they shoot down anyone who will have a differing opinion.
Sure.
From my travels around town and the likes, particularly in the working class West, you get routinely sent videos from random tradies and they're just going off on huge angry rants about the lockdown. My take on it is that despite what it might look like that people are quite happy with the restrictions that we're doing to save lives, that the majority of people, I think, aren't very happy about. They're sort of sitting there quietly waiting to see what will happen. on September 13?
Well, the one thing that we know at the Informer, from the numbers of emails, the letters that we keep getting, small business essentially is saying enough is enough. We need some idea so we can start planning. It's a bit like business saying, in order to get ahead, we need to know what's happening. So give us a plan of what you're intending to do. So when the imposition is lifted, when the sanctions are lifted, the restrictions are lifted, we can get back to doing what we need to do to get the economy going, to get our businesses going, because there's no doubt about it, and you've seen it time and time again, the for sale signs, the for lease signs, they're up everywhere. Chapel Street, through the city now, through Docklands, there are signs coming up that people have given up the ghost.
Absolutely, and many Victorians, they want to get out. They want to get out of Victoria. They're tired of homeschooling. They worry about the future of their children. I mean, and the very thought or prospect of having to go through starting a new year with kids not going to school, I mean, people want out. So
isn't that remarkable? In the matter of 5 months, 6 months, we've seen the city of Melbourne go from one of the most livable cities in the world. We've seen it go from one of the smarter cities in the world to being the most locked down city in the world, or at least that's the way it seems.
Yeah, and from what I'm hearing, people are fed up. They're fed up with the lockdown. They're fed up with the government. They're fed up, even while this has been going on with the justice system. They're just fed up with everything. And they want change. And this lockdown, this COVID, might be the sort of catalyst for some changes. Some huge changes, I think.
All right. Anything else that has piqued your fancy, since last week?
No. Well, like I said, George, I've been doing a bit of courts, and I believe you're going to have John Heron on later.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
The tragic case of his daughter.
What did you make of that? You had ample opportunity to be in court to hear Henry Hammond, and his defence team as it was, and I think they had a couple of psychiatrists in there to offer their expert opinion. It's a horrific story, whichever way you look at it. And for a parent, it would be sheer horror.
It's awful, and you really feel for the family. But just quickly, my take on it is that victims of crime are fed up, and this has been going on for quite some time now, with the Office of Public Prosecution deals to effectively push through clearances through the court. We don't want to go to trial. How quickly can we get this done? And they make deals with crooks, letting them off on lesser charges. The case of Henry Hammond, I think you'll find that Mr. Heron is very upset that they did not pursue the mental impairment. They didn't go for a murder conviction. They went with the doctor's opinion that he was mentally impaired, and that's the end of it.
So my understanding now, he's in the psychiatric centre?
He's still in jail at the moment because there's another hearing to sort of formalise that coming up. And then, he will be put into Thomas Embling. When criminals, he's found not guilty, so he's sick.
That's right. Mental illness, not guilty by mental illness, by mental impairment.
Yeah.
And now a judgment has to be made on how long he's put behind bars, or in custody, or in the psychiatric centre.
Well, he can be held for something like 25 years, but the reality of it is, and I've seen this happen in the Supreme Court myself, I've seen one killer in particular, he killed 2 people. The psychiatrist at Thomas Embling deemed that gentleman cured before he even finished the trial, and he was out of jail, or out of Thomas Embling in under 2 years.
That's the sort of thing we don't want to hear at any time. But thank you for alerting us and giving us a sense of some of the real problems that exist in our judicial system. I'm sure there are people working really hard to try and iron them out, but they are there, they're definitely there, and we need to attend to them. As always, Wayne Flower, thanks for helping us. Wayne Flower from the Daily Mail, out and about this time, not in his COVID gear, but in a suit.
Thanks, George.